Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined once again with Nick and Randy. Nick, how are you doing today?
Thank you for asking, Drew. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Something on
so
my heart
fantastic.
Just felt like I should ask. But how are
I
you
have
doing,
not
Randy?
Gotten out of this room in like weeks. It's awesome. I love it. Introverse
Sounds
dream
wonderful.
Right here.
We are definitely not doing a second take. What is up, people?
Welcome back. I bet Randy's doing well.
I'm
Specifically,
doing
Randy.
very well. Yo,
Because
yeah.
See how he told us he was doing well just a minute ago.
And he has full self-driving bought and paid for. And how much did you pay for it?
$6,000, baby.
Wow.
Six
Okay.
grand.
You got it for
Which is
$6,000.
looking pretty good right about now.
It's currently
Seven right now, right?
And now Elon has confirmed it is going up again probably on July 1st.
As he promised it would. I mean,
They're sticking to their word. A lot of people I saw suggesting that because of the economic climate we're in right now, he should consider lowering full self-driving or full warning. This is going to be an EV video. You cannot deny it because it's my idea anyway. But how would you guys feel? I'll bounce ideas off of you before I actually do it. About full self-driving being a monthly subscription.
Oh.
no.
No, I'd say no. Just mainly because you own a car for 5 to 10 years. If you're even paying like $10 a month, even if it was like something that cheap, which it wouldn't be, you'd still be paying like oodles and oodles of money after that. Let's see.
Let me clarify. This is
Okay.
something I would not do myself. This is something I wouldn't recommend you guys to do. Well, especially Randy, he already has it. But this is more so of a money-making potential feature for Tesla, because if there are a lot of people out there that are like, I can't justify that because really the only difference between full self-driving in its current state and just standard autopilot is smart summon, the auto lane change, and soon the traffic light stops and the stop line stops. I don't put a $7,000 price tag or $8,000 price tag on that, but we all know the reason it's more expensive is because you're buying the future features. You're buying the potential of full self-driving. And some people would say, like, yeah, it's worth it if it actually drove itself completely fine and completely independently. But maybe if Tesla lets you subscribe to it, they make money off it as long as you're paying for it. And if you stop paying for it, now you don't get those features, but they've collected the revenue. So
here's my thing.
Okay.
It's actually a universal approach that I take. I hate subscriptions, period. The less for me, the better.
Same.
So that's
Agreed.
I'd rather own something outright.
Yeah.
Anything that's a subscription is I say necessity.
You can't
in
pay
the sense
for it
that,
up front. You shouldn't have it.
I can't. I can't own it. Even like streaming, YouTube Premium, the idea of keeping my premium connectivity. It's because there's no other alternative. But if I can ever own something outright, 10 out of 10 times I will own it outright. And if I can't pay for it outright, I have no business buying it.
I'm not asking if you would do this yourself. I'm asking if Tesla should do this as a business move for financial
It
reasons.
would be pretty
Yes.
smart, but I'd still say no one should be doing it because it's a bad deal. So
No,
right now,
but in my opinion, no one should be leasing their Tesla either. But
Exactly.
there's people doing
I
that.
concur.
People do. So full self-driving right now, today, whatever it is, April 5th. I don't know. I haven't gotten out of the house. April 4th. They were recording. Full self-driving is $7,000 on top of the Tesla.
Before or after delivery. Yeah.
Yes, and being a Cybertruck reservation holder, I locked my $7,000 in.
Don't flex
I'm
too
no
hard.
longer concerned.
We'll see how much he flexes when the time comes to pay for it.
I know. That's the thing. It's locked in though.
And you'll be
So-
like, 250 miles isn't that bad. I mean, come on.
It honestly isn't. Like, it isn't. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with the single motor too. Anyway,
You've locked
right
in
now
your price.
$7,000. If they did a 10-year over 10 years, they assume you had it over 10 years. A monthly subscription for that $7,000 full self-driving is $58.36 a month that you have to pay to get that $7,000 over 10 years. So $58 a month. You spend more on like your phone bill. Like I on one line, I would spend more on one line. But I have more than that's expensive.
You
but
spend a lot on your phone bill.
I do.
though. That's
I shouldn't have made that comparison. But the average person's phone bill per line is about $40 to $60, somewhere in there. And that's right where this is, $60 a month. And that's phone bill is normally one of the biggest expenses in most people's monthly subscriptions that come up. And so I don't think that people would even want to jump on a $60 a month subscription for full self-driving, because if they lock you in for any amount of time, then it's just going to sound expensive.
I would
like
say
$60 a month. Dang.
they could make it a lot
$7,000
higher,
seems
but
cheaper.
no contract. That's how they could win it.
So like
they could
$100 a month.
Make it
with
like
no
$100
contract?
a month, but you can cancel at any time. And then people would buy it for like trips. They'd be like,
Okay.
I'm going on a road trip. I'll buy it this month, and then I'll cancel it next month.
If you, I just did a quick number, $10,000 for full self driving. Just
Okay.
trying to think of envision here. I think it's going to be like that. $10,000 for full self driving, and if you do a lease for 36 months, that's $277.77 consecutive. So $280 a month. So as long as you go below that, in the scheme of like full self driving in its final form, and you introduce a subscription model to it, you would be. If I was Tesla, I would charge you $100 to $150 a month as a subscription, because now I can make the argument that for the lease of your vehicle, you can save money by doing the subscription. And if you turn it in, I mean, I don't know if you're going to be a lifetime customer to me, because at least you're locked in for 36 months. And it's cheaper then at that point, as a business thing, it's cheaper to do the subscription with a lease to go under 277 or 280. I'm just going to round up 280 and still make it an incentive to provide a subscription. Otherwise, you might as well just buy it outright. In the final form, if we go to 10 grand as the lock-in number in its final state. So,
I think there's a way they could do it that you're hoping some people don't take advantage of the system, and you're hoping some people do. They kind of balance each other out in that way.
Yeah.
Sort of like my video this past week on the unlimited supercharging purchase, which I know we discussed in a previous podcast as well. But a lot of people also combated that and said that it should be a monthly subscription as well. So I guess a lot of people like the idea of more subscription options for the Tesla services, whether it be
I think what it
full
is,
self-driving
people like
or
the idea
supercharging.
of pay as you go in times when you need it. Because right now, everybody in our current economic situation, right now, everything makes sense to have a monthly thing that you can cancel, because it doesn't benefit anybody to be locked in at something that we can't use. Gym memberships, for example, being a primary one that are annual. People are getting billed. I'm getting billed regardless, and I can't go to the gym. Annual fees for credit cards is another one. They might prorate, like, okay, we're going to move it forward a little bit, but ultimately these things that have annual subscription costs doesn't look good right now given our current predicament that we're all in. But I would also argue that this is definitely very much an exception, not the rule to life, and what's happening is very, very unique in our lifetime. So people can easily make an argument, I want monthly this, monthly, because it benefits them to save it. Like, I don't want it right now, but I want it when life gets back to normal.
Right.
Cool. But life will get back to normal, and we'll be back to normal for a long time, and then it'll be the new normal. So all I'm saying is that we can make the argument everything should be monthly as of today, and I would still personally disagree with it outright, just because I
would too,
agree
for
with
the
monthly.
record. I'm more interested in just the marketing and the Tesla's finance side of it, of like ways they can provide options for customers who do want to test it out. I mean, just experimenting with full self-driving, be like, well, let me try it and see if I notice a difference. And
So
if not,
then
I'll cancel.
I would, as a marketing thing, then, like I was saying earlier, I'll do a more practical one. That still makes sense. So right now, $7,000 to do full self-driving. If you lease it for 36 months and I divide it, that's $194 a month. So I would say $150 or $125 today a month. That's how it looks like that's going to go to your lease, and you can still save money, and we can still get a majority profit off of that still. So
yeah. I mean, I think the issue people might have with subscribing to it is the fact that you're not subscribing to own it eventually. which means that if you plan on getting it and keeping it, then you're not doing what you did, Randy, which is just buy it now because it's more affordable than it's going to be later. And they're predicting that right now most people probably don't think full self-driving is worth it in its present state. Just the benefits you get do not warrant $7,000. A lot of people have said they'd be willing to spend like $1,000 so they can just have auto lane change, or just spend $1,000 so you can have smart summon and just activate a couple of things.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I think the whole point of buying it is that you have all of the access, you have all of the long-term upgrades once full self-driving does come out. Now you've already had access to it. So yeah, the monthly subscription option would not be getting you to a point where, okay, now you just have it outright. So it would be like, oh, if you believe in full self-driving though, you probably shouldn't pay monthly, because that's in the end going to end up out after a few years. It'll be more expensive to rent than it would have been to just pay for it outright. So
exactly,
smart people would not rent it.
Would they credit you, like if you were doing the monthly for like a year and a half or whatever, and you already spent however much it is, a couple $1,000, and you decide to get the full self-driving package again, like buy it outright, would they credit you that amount, or would they still charge you like that $8,000 or $10,000 to buy it outright?
When you do a lease, they do give you somewhat of a credit towards it, but realistically you end up paying more for the vehicle when you buy it outright after the end of the lease. I think the same rule would apply
definitely
for full self-driving. That they can give you somewhat of a discount, but you actually end up still paying more for it over the course of it had you just bought it outright.
Yeah,
it's not like a interest-free loan.
1-to-1.
Yeah.
No,
that would be cool though. Just let you pay it off over time. I mean, hey, they get their money somehow. I'm assuming the July 1st price increase will be another $1,000. It would really suck if it was more.
I'm thinking maybe even $2,000. So if they're adding,
this is because you've already locked in your price. You're just wanting
just because I've already locked it in with my Cybertruck, which by far is the world's best vehicle ever produced.
I've never heard that before, Nick.
I didn't know you thought that way.
Oh, let me tell you about the greatness of the Cybertruck.
We don't got that type of time, buddy.
Oh man,
go back to full self-driving. Why do you think traffic lights should be $2,000?
I think it could be. Like, there's a real value proposition there. Now, the current beta that we've seen leaks of, like the one where you have to like touch the stock or do the foot pedal, that might not be
green light.
$2,000. I don't think that's worth $2,000. But if it legit works just like autopilot on the highway in the streets, that could be worth $2,000 right there. So maybe it'll be $1,000 and $1,000 to price up increase when you have to do the little thingy. Little beep beep, that'll be $1,000, and then when that goes away, I'm not using words, I'm using onomatopoeias, so I should probably practice using more words.
That's a $4 word right there.
Onomatopoeia?
I like the idea.
Onomatopoeia, please give me $4, please.
If I may,
I think it should also. Sorry, go ahead, Randy.
No, go ahead. No.
I think the point should also be remembered that last time Elon said the price was going up, it actually didn't. And some people may think of that, and rightfully so, might think of that as an artificial way to increase purchases of full self-driving. Because if you warn people about this way in advance and say, hey, July 1st, we're going to go up another $1,000, then a bunch of people are like, oh, shoot, I was thinking about getting it, but now I better get it now. Because if I wait on it, it's going to go up $1,000. And then that's how you get more people buying the package, because they're like, I don't want to miss it. I don't want to have to pay extra. And then after July 1st comes around, they're like, well, we wanted to wait till the feature was rolled
that's what
out.
happened to me, but it still did go up, and it will go up.
It did go up eventually, yes.
But it still went up, and even if it passed the deadline, exactly what you said, I got it then, because it's like, well, if he's going to raise the price, then I want to lock in at that price, because even if he misses the deadline on that, it's a guarantee the price is going to go up, and anybody who is buying into it would expect it to go up too. I don't think it's worth $2,000 more come July if they meet. Okay, so say it's happening July 1st. I don't think stoplights and stop signs is merited a $2,000 as a standalone. Or just I think they should incrementally increase it a grand each
So
time.
they're
a new
increasing
feature.
it slowly because they're convinced that as they roll out more features, more and more people will believe them.
Well, I actually believe that as you introduce, each time the price has gone up, in the way I see it, I have been introduced to something new that I didn't have when I paid $6,000. So the auto lane change, the driving and speeding up. I'm not talking about the UI. Oh, I can see trash cans now. I don't care about that. I do care that when I'm driving on the freeway, my car is now more aggressive about changing a lane instead of being very timid about it. And now it's like, no, I'm going to do this. And understanding what that $1,000 increase is going to do to me down the road for the overall package makes sense. If you look at it in a vacuum and like, oh, as it stands today, no, it's not even worth $7,000. I would pay $3,000 comfortably. Be like, okay, what it is.
Navigate on autopilot and
Smart Summon,
and all that stuff.
and I don't really use it that much because even then it's still very much beta and it is still buggy. And I experience it all the time. I've caught myself in the last 2 months driving more manually on without autopilot on the road thing because I just don't want to deal with it right now. Yeah, I know.
Wait, you've been driving the last few months? Why would you do that?
Because I'm an essential personnel, and Sweeney, I have to work still.
You're very essential to this show.
Thank you.
Had to have you in this studio that we're
I
all
will
recording
say
in together.
$2,000 though. If we were to just try to do a apples to apples comparison, feature and dollar, $2,000 for me. The big icing for me, as I've been saying, is when I could do a 90-degree turn or a 180 turn, like a U-turn. Then
pretty much like that's the last piece of the puzzle.
That's
honestly.
the last, and that one that is $2,000 to me. Okay. I would pay if I
to
was
me,
not in
stoplights and stop signs are almost the last piece of the puzzle. Like I don't
There's
mind.
several pieces left.
Okay, yes,
to the puzzle.
obviously.
Yeah.
no one's saying it's almost done. But
no.
For use cases that I see myself, I mean, I own a car. It's been sitting in my driveway for literally like 2 months. I have not driven it in like 2 months. I mean, I went to the mechanic shop, but I didn't drive it to the mechanic shop, and it came back from the
drive your
mechanic
car
shop.
to the mechanic shop and back.
I didn't even drive it back from the mechanic shop. So I don't know why I need a Tesla. Maybe I don't need a Tesla. Dang it.
Not now. This is the future. But
it's all right, Nick. You'll change your mind in 5 minutes.
Oh. I
My
still want a
point is,
Cybertruck. That never changes.
I'm the
Cybertruck
only
for life.
person at a loss from this announcement because you've locked in your full self-driving price when you reserved your Cybertruck, and Randy already has his. So maybe at this point, before July 1st comes, I should just reserve a Cybertruck because if you ordered one now, or if you ordered one in June, I'm guessing you wouldn't get it for like 5 years at this point.
That only
How
helps
many
you if you
people-
actually plan on getting the Cybertruck and not like a Model Y or a 3 or whatever at that point. Then I would say the only benefit for you, full self-driving is only worth what you're willing to pay. And if it's still undervalued to you, which it is, like if we rewind the clock and I didn't reserve last year and I did it this June instead, it would still be undervalued to me. I think and I'm pretty sure we talked about that. I cap at $10,000 for me. About at that point, it's like anything below $10,000 for me is considered undervalued because that's how the grand future of full autonomy is worth $10,000 to me in the next decade or so. So. For you to lock in a reservation for Cybertruck just so you can keep the price at $7,000, I don't know if that's worth it. In the sense that, are you that adamant about getting a Cybertruck? If you are like Nick is, then yeah, do it. But I'm
saying Cybertruck reservations are already so high. Like if you're part of the Cybertruck owners club, I'm not, but they email me. And they've filled me in on saying that latest data suggests that the reservations have surpassed 620,000, and given the economic situation we're facing right now, and the fact that they haven't announced the Cybertruck factory yet, I'm believing that it's more and more likely the Cybertruck won't reach their launch day, and they'll have to wait till.
Which means I win my bet.
We don't know. They've surprised us before, so we don't know for sure until December 31st, 2021.
I'm on record. But it's very sad what's going on.
You're on record of being wrong, Randy.
He's like all happy, and he's but it's really depressing.
I win my bet, but it's very
Congratulations.
sad.
The world's gonna die.
You win
but Randy will
nothing.
be right.
Fantastic.
I get to say I told you so. I don't know.
But
You're going to
I
be saying
think-
that to yourself because both Drew and I are probably going to croak from the current situation, and you'll just be doing the podcast all by yourself. And you'll
Why
be
am I
like,
the healthy one?
well, I don't know.
why
You're
would
drinking
you
water
croak
right
in that-
now. That's pretty healthy. So, you know.
It's Russian water. If you catch my drift.
My point is, there's so many reservations
Vodka,
that
I'm
if you
talking
reserve
vodka.
one, if you reserve one in June, delivery would not be ready for years and years and years down the road. Where
No.
I'll be comfortable. I'll be ready for a second Tesla at that point.
It won't
think
be
so?
years and years and years. I think
I
it'll
do.
be...
There are over
So-
500,000 in reservations already.
There's no way anywhere close to 500,000 people are keeping
You know
that
how-
reservation.
Okay,
Like-
but if by the time it's ready, there's 1 million reservations, and
Okay.
there's how many? Do you know how many Teslas they make a year? Like in all the factories combined?
500,000 was last. It was rolling 12. 500,000.
So that happens in a year, and if we're talking
Yes.
about 300,000 just Cybertrucks, okay,
No,
let's say
I'm thinking 100,000. I'm thinking 10% of the people who reserved a Cybertruck are actually going to go through with their reservation.
that's
I've said that
different
for a
from
while.
your last answer.
10%.
But okay, 100,000 from one factory for one
10%.
vehicle.
If there's 1 million, that would be 100,000.
So with the Fremont factory and Giga Shanghai,
Yeah.
they barely were able to crank out 100,000 total 3X, S, and Y. And you're suggesting that within like 2 years, they're going to be able to meet demand of the Cybertruck?
Not in 1 year, but not 5 years. I think it'll be probably
it'll be-
2.5 year process to get through to the very last reservations.
I think it'll be like 5. It's going to be so heavily demanded, and the reservations are also going to, like, we haven't seen the peak of reservations at this point. They're going to get really, really high once delivery gets closer and people actually start getting them. And then people realize, oh, this isn't just a concept. People are actually taking delivery. And then peak deliveries again. And it's going to be one of those hot ticket items that takes them years and years and years before they can actually deliver them within like just a couple months of ordering. It'll take a long time. That's my guess. Especially if they need a new factory for them and there's no factory.
Yeah, I'm as the current economic crisis continues, I would say the likelihood of them getting a Cybertruck out on time is dwindling quickly. There's still a chance. It's just dwindling quickly.
I'm not saying the delivery days will be 5 years from now. I'm saying if you order one now, it's going to take many years before you get one because
I think if
so
you
many
order
people
one today,
already reserved
it'll
one
be 2.5 years before you see a Cybertruck.
today.
Maybe if you get like a tri-motor or dual motor today, it'll be a little bit better. But if you order the single motor today, it'll probably be like 2.5 years.
So you're saying they'll keep up with demand in like 6 months after the launch?
No,
Because 2.5 years
2
from now
years,
is
2.5 years
2022.
after the first Cybertruck rolls off the line.
No,
after
you
the
said
first
you said
delivery.
from now originally. That's why I was confused.
Well, no, if you order it now,
Yeah.
you're going to have to wait 2.5 years after they start delivering.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. After they start delivering is
I'm
what
sorry.
I can understand, which is
Not 5 years after delivery.
I'm
2.5
saying 5 years
after
from now.
delivery. Possibly 5 years from now. Yes.
That's all my point was.
So we're talking about the same thing.
And we wasted 5 minutes in the process.
I love wasting time.
So who knows? I'll think about it. I might reserve one, but I wouldn't tell people to take it very seriously. I'm reserving this just for the sake of full self-driving holding its price and not knowing what the future holds, and it only costs $100, and just so I can say I have one. That's
You should
about
you
the
should
only-
be like that.
You don't have
the
one.
what's
You have a
inside guy.
reservation.
And
That's what I mean. Just so I can say I
Okay.
have a reservation.
there you go.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
Should be like the
But-
what's inside guy and reserve like 80 Tesla Cybertrucks.
Yeah, they max out at 10. They won't
10?
let you reserve more than 10 unless you give them a different credit card, which is interesting. But
Oh.
he discovered that, not me. It'd be funny
did.
if they decided to not cancel his orders. They're like, sorry, we can't we can't seem to cancel your order correctly. He's like, oh no. He has to like take delivery of 80 of them.
Oh,
Let's make them tri-motors just for fun. He orders the tri-motor each time. We might get a tri-motor Tesla this year, though.
Yeah.
Elon recently tweeted about
Yes.
Plaid is getting simplified because apparently it was getting too complicated. I really wish I knew what that meant. What does he mean by we're
Getting a heat
simplifying? We can't give it a heat pump. Like the Plaid mode, whatever it was getting too complex, so they need to simplify it. I'm like, please go into more detail on that. Whatever the heck that means. Like, how does three motors get more complicated? So much more drastically complicated. What do
how
you think
did air
that could
power
mean?
get more complicated? I mean, execution. Maybe there was a disconnect that was happening with that third. Maybe it's as simple as he's saying. It's like the third motor's causing issues, evidently. And
I feel like there's a big jump with range on any Tesla that has tri motors, which I've noticed between Roadster and Cybertruck. They're like, they go from 300 miles on the dual motor to 500 on the tri motor. And I wonder if that's all batteries or that has something to do with like this perfect combo of power efficiency when you have three motors working instead of two. And I think it'd be cool if we got to see how that worked on the Model S. Like, what do you think the tri motor Model S range is going to be? If they're at like
500,
you think they'll hit 5? Okay. Cool.
Because I think it's a combination of both the battery and the
both,
efficiency, and with Battery Day and whatever announcement we thought we were going to see with that, I feel like 500 is about to become the real new like standard, the new default. And
max. I don't know if it's a default.
Well, I mean, default with your tri-motor configuration.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I feel like that's not going to be like peak. Is this like no? Like you can easily expect 500 starting, and then maybe it gets better over efficiency over time. Little incremental, updates here and there, what have you. But I feel like tri-motor, as you were pointing out, like the Model S, Roadster, and truck, they're not like fundamentals aren't that much different to the point where why wouldn't the S be 500 as well as the Roadster and the truck? It should be, and I feel like that's the magic recipe with implementing that third motor. Battery efficiency will be a thing as well, and I think it would. Model S is going to become very compelling when Plaid comes out in a way that will make it relevant again today.
I don't think it'll sell very well, but I think it will go a long way in the media. Like I think
there'll be a lot of leases again.
Yes, maybe.
Yes.
But I mean, like it will make headlines that an electric vehicle can go over 450 miles. I think it'll easily break 450 because if it's at 391 now with two motors and it's got a 100 kilowatt hour pack and they're giving it a 120 and three motors, 500 would be gold, but easily I think it can break 450 if you just take like percentage ratios of like how much the battery size is increasing alongside the Plaid updates, because I don't think Plaid is just going to be about performance.
450, by the way, that number. Last week we talked about how people don't really know what the range was of a gas vehicle. They just know like, miles per gallon.
Yeah, they don't really think about range.
When I had my Jetta, I always had one of my settings on one of my displays tell me, how much gas I had left with mileage with the tank as it decreased, and it capped at about like 450 on average was my number. So if I was to go by range, and it always decreased in increments of like 5 or 10 miles, it would just adjust again. It always did it by full numbers. It never did like 450, 447. It was like 450, 440, 430 type of a thing. And it was pretty spot on with reading it, where how much gas I still had left before I needed to fill up. So I think 450 is not only now exactly aligned with most sedans today.
That's my Sonata too.
I think 450 being right there is going to be. You're right in the sense that like I don't think it would be anything below that, because I feel even without the tri-motor, if we make some type of advancement in the battery, it's going to get the big advancement is that like we are exactly the same as a gasoline vehicle, except now here are all your benefits, and this is because of the battery. And I think
we killed range anxiety now. Like you have the same range as a gas car. It will be
dead forever.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's pretty hard for anyone to say their EV has the same range as a gas car. I mean, you can say it's good enough, but it's hard to say like, no, my Tesla goes as far as the gas cars do. To be fair though, there are lots of gas cars that can go, 600 miles on a tank.
Right.
But
that's true.
I think once you surpass, but like we said earlier, people don't really think about range with gas cars. It's just like, oh, it's low, it's time to fuel up. So once you break that kind of 400 number, I think that's when you get through the stigma, and that's when people stop even thinking about range and they just think of it as driving the car. But I bet a lot of people have probably already got there with their Teslas anyway. They just realized because electricity is so accessible in the first place, they don't even think about it. But did you guys see the Q1 numbers? They did pretty good for crisis
deliveries. Yeah.
For definitely. Deliveries and production,
They were only so the thing is, their Fremont factory was only down 8 days in that entire quarter.
True. So it's kind of an unfair metric.
It was like, they did about what everyone was expecting, less 8 days of production. Next quarter is definitely going to hurt a lot more.
But I think so too. Yeah, it's hard to sell cars when
Tesla's
them.
out of any automaker ever, Tesla is the one that's going to survive, if anything.
Oh, for sure.
If I can dive into a little bit of financial
I honestly can't
stuff right
find,
now.
From what I'm reading on the news, I can't find another automaker that's better equipped for this recession, this downturn.
So, if you remember back to 2008, the big thing with 2008 was the automakers. Ford and GM were hurting.
I thought it was badly. That the Dark Knight came out and it changed superhero movies forever.
That was it. It was the Dark Knight's fault.
But sorry,
nothing to do with the global economy and credit default swaps and anything like that.
What did I do without you?
Anyway, so Ford and GM got bailed out by the government, and GM didn't. They were really hurt by it very badly, and they restructured their company in really fundamental ways. They made it a lot more efficient. And they cut a lot of the costs. They got rid of, I believe, a third of their unionized employees.
Wow.
So they were able to really reduce cost. Ford, on the other hand, took that bailout and didn't make any changes. Those companies survived through 2008. Coming into 2020, the world's most recent terrible year, they are in vastly different places, Ford and GM. GM is lean and efficient, and, comparatively, we're talking about big automakers, nothing like Tesla. And Ford is the one that's big and overloaded. Ford has, I believe, 54,000 employees that are all unionized, which means they cannot furlough them, they cannot cut them, they cannot reduce pay. They have to keep that payroll.
This isn't a moral debate, by the way. We're just talking about the finances.
No, we're talking about the finances, totally. Ford is in a bad position. Ford could be out in the next few months. Ford is operating at a month and a half worth of cash, so they have about a month and a half worth of expenses. So I know. Could you imagine
that's going to impact the Mach-E?
It's gone. It's toast.
I don't think it's coming this year, personally.
The what?
Their factories aren't open.
I would be surprised if Ford makes it through the next few years, and that's sad because I like Ford. Out of all the gas cars, I'd like Ford the best because that's what I grew up with.
They'll make it. They're too big. They got enough bailout, but
yeah, they do.
I agree. It won't do great.
Let the past die.
But if we compare these two automakers with Tesla, world of difference. Tesla has $8 billion of cash on the balance sheet right now. $8 billion, which is
with
more revenue than they've seen since a while because of their cash raises. And I meant net income, not revenue there. They have almost no unionized employees. So if they have to shut down factories, they don't have to keep payroll. Yes, it sucks to be an employee of Tesla if you're going to
no moral debate here. Okay, we're not talking about that.
We're just talking strictly numbers.
Finances,
just the numbers.
So Tesla is in a really good position to weather this. And honestly, they have the cash to be making investments right now. As Ford and GM fall apart and the other automakers, there are going to be a lot of, unemployed, highly skilled people that Tesla can probably pick up for a good deal. And that's only going to make Tesla grow even faster. And so, yes, right now it's terrible, and people are losing their jobs. Even worse than that, people are dying. Horrible circumstances. But Tesla is in an amazing position to really leverage this opportunity because they raised $2 billion of cash when their stock was at the ceiling. The smartest decision I've ever seen.
They'd probably get a perfect score on Doomsday Preppers right now.
Totally.
Because of how much capital they
Except they don't have enough masks. Oh, wait a minute. Tesla's sending out masks and ventilators to everyone.
Oh, that's true. And also, the way they've been doing the contactless deliveries is like another modern, like forward-thinking way of like, hey, we can keep up. You can buy a Tesla right now. I mean, it's a lot of people probably who were going to get one are now not because of their economic situation. But from what I've seen, a lot of people have mentioned that like that has resulted in a lot of order cancellations. And that's how people have been able to get a hold of Model Ys even. Like my good friend Ryan Shaw on his tech channel got his Model Y. Congrats to Ryan.
Oh, really? Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been delivered. He got a red dual motor long range with the 20-inch wheels. It looks fantastic. It's a gorgeous combo. He looks really happy to have it. So he was able to get one because he contacted another Tesla center, and at that center they had one that someone had ordered and was shipped to that center, but then the person canceled. So that one was kind of up for grabs because Tesla, how it appears, it's kind of a weird reservation process right now, because what Ryan has discovered is that they make the Model Ys, they send them to the location of the reservation holder, and then if they cancel or back out, they don't move them. They don't move them to another center to be stored, or they don't move them to sell elsewhere, which means that there was a lot of people that would cancel their order, and then there would just be a Model Y made for someone up for grabs, and you basically just had to contact the right guy at the right time and be like, do you have any Model Ys available? And they're like, if you want it to be in this color, in this wheel combo. And they're like, sure, yeah, I'll take the red one. It'll work fine. So he just took off full self-driving to offset the cost of the wheels and the red paint, and then said he'd pay for that later. But hopefully before July 1st, I think he can make it in time. But yeah, I thought it's kind of interesting in that way that like people that have ordered a Model Y on like day one, like the day it was unveiled last year on March 15th, a lot of those people still don't have their Model Y, but people that ordered one like 2 weeks ago got one just because of the stock and the location they were ordering from, and just being at the right place at the right time. So that could also distort heavily the Cybertruck deliveries. It just depends on like, it's not a matter of the first guy who clicked order gets his first. It's a matter of like, where are you in the world? And if you're way out here, you're gonna have to wait a lot longer than if
location.
That's
exactly what they always say.
Yeah. But
cool.
Anyway, to get back on the recession point, they're smart and they're figuring out how to keep up deliveries despite production going to be low. And it also seems like, as they told us in Q1 numbers, they produced a lot more than they sold. They produced over 102,000, and sold 88. So they have quite a bit they can still sell, even though the factories aren't open. And it's interesting that Giga Shanghai is still operational, and they're still working on Giga Berlin. So that hasn't been canceled. In fact, the latest articles I read showed Giga Berlin was ahead of schedule, not behind. So it's like they're not at a complete standstill just because Fremont and Gigafactory 1 are not up and running. But obviously, this will hurt them for sure. There's no way around it.
And then it'll make them stronger for it in the long term.
Exactly.
And they survived the last recession, technically.
Tesla grew in the last recession. Tesla is so efficient and lean because they've had to be. They're razor thin margins, bleeding cash every single quarter. They've had to be as efficient and lean as possible. But these other big automakers didn't have to do that, and so they've been not prepared for this new climate that we're in. And Tesla was already prepared for it. And for some reason, they got a bunch of cash hanging around, so they are golden.
Do you guys think that Tesla will make adjustments after everything gets back up to speed again, or do you think they're going to stay business as usual?
Adjustments to what? Prices
Production.
or parts or
No,
the cars themselves?
Production. The way how like we were just talking about what happened with Ford and GM in 2008, 2009, and the different approaches they did with it, and so one adjusted, the other really didn't. Do you think them being, I mean, they are going to be affected by it, but they're not going to be impacted the same way? Do you think they're going to be one of the companies that's going to take preventative measures and either preserving more of the investments that they have, streamline execution? Do you think that they're going to like, oh wow, we can't afford to let all these months of downtime affect us the same way again? Because right now they have, for large part, build as you order type of a thing. It's not you go to a location, I want that one. You build it, they make it, they go. That's the process. So, I mean, in my opinion, that's pretty efficient. The setback to that, delays. Okay, fine. So there's that. But outside of that, I'm thinking, I'm going to answer my own question first, and then I kind of go, like, I don't know if I'm thinking weird. I think mostly they're going to stay the course as they have been because they're trying to be more efficient with execution. Problem is, production is taking an impact with building a new location, doing future, for lack of a better term, future growth in the sense that Cybertruck, prime example, will be delayed in some capacity by this. Model Y, technically, setbacks. Could this have been prevented leading up to this for people who already made the reservations, who have the money to go? Or was this inevitable and therefore they are going to stay the course? I feel slight adjustments, but they were always going to they're going to stay the course regardless because it's been working for them so far. I don't know if there is a way to be more efficient where whatever's happening outside of their factories would have little impact on them. I mean, in the grand scheme, everyone's going to feel the effects, but things are being delayed in these ways, and I don't know if that was preventable or not, or maybe there is. I don't know.
I think they may, for the most part, I think I'd agree that they're going to stay the course and not really change the way they were planning to do things, other than just pushing launch days back a little bit or investor days and stuff like that. But for the most part, they might just play things a little bit more safe with what they spend. And, when they're looking for a Cybertruck factory, or maybe when this new battery technology comes out, if it's a matter of make the product better or prioritize revenue, they might lean more towards the revenue of we could extend the ranges of all our vehicles, which would make them, more appealing. But instead, we're just going to lower the operating cost and pocket the price difference because, obviously, we can agree right now the way they capital raised on the stock and had a bunch of cash flow before this all went down was a good move. And they're probably going to be like, okay, let's not that was a good decision. Let's make sure we continue making decisions like that moving forward. Like, let's not bleed for cash too much. Let's focus on profitability, even if it results in the cars themselves maybe not innovating or improving as much as we think it would be cool to. Like, maybe the plaid mode has been delayed or something like that, or maybe I'm almost completely sure the Roadster's not coming this year now. Now I'm like, definitely not a 2020 thing. Like, that's like
Elon's, they have to give away every single YouTuber, like three of them.
Right. Like, Elon's working on so many other things related to the outbreak and the way Tesla has to rework their business now because their factories are shut down. Like, Roadster and probably even the Tesla Semi are not huge priorities. Those probably aren't really money makers. So in 2020, it may have shifted from being, oh, this is going to be the year of the Semi and the year of the Roadster, to just, let's get the Model Ys ready. Let's, make sure Model 3 production gets back to normal, and, maybe little changes here and there, but it may not be the big product year I was hoping it was going to be, which is sad, but I mean, everyone's impacted by this, so we gotta cut our losses some way.
So Tesla has a lot of Model 3s that are out on lease, right? They have, and all those leases, you can't buy it after your lease is up. So
Right.
Tesla's getting those cars back. And something that seems to do well in most downturned economies for automakers is selling used cars. If you go back to 2008, the used car market was flourishing because people didn't have the money or didn't want to spend the money on a full brand new car. The used market was really great. So what if Tesla, I know Elon has said that they're not going to sell those used Model 3s and they're going to put them into the FSD fleet. I think at this point, we're looking at it, they should be, coming back about now, those 2-year leases.
Oh, that's true.
So,
Aren't they 3 years?
and FSD's, the robotaxi is nowhere near ready. So what if, in order to, boost sales, what if they start selling used Model 3s on their website for, $25,000 to $30,000 for the base model? Because they've already gotten, 2 years worth of leasing money out of it. So for them, it's just extra money that they'll be making. So I think there's a big opportunity for them to start selling used Model 3s from their leasing fleet whenever those leases come back, because those are going to be real popular. Like, honestly, if I could go on Tesla's website and find a $2,500 Model 3 that, it has a few thousand miles on it and has
high
some
miles,
battery
for sure.
desiccration and, all that fun stuff. $25,000 though, that's like a lot more affordable in like my mind than even the $40,000 Cybertruck. So I don't know. That's a big opportunity for them.
That would
to
not be
consider.
a bad idea. I think if given for whatever reasons, I'm sure development of autopilot and full self-driving has been impacted by this. Likely, if they can't all come to the building and a lot of this code is secured and people have to stay at home and stuff. There's probably some work that can be done, but for the most part, I bet that can be delayed. And no one would really be shocked if they say, okay, full self-driving is not going to be as far along as we were hoping, because for one, people already thought it was behind schedule, and the outbreak doesn't help that, so they can also push it back along with it. And prioritizing some of the leases, because the first Model 3 deliveries were end of 2017, and I think most of the leases are 3 years. I could be wrong.
No, they were 2 years, right?
No,
you can double check, but I thought they were.
And I think
3,
the leases started in 2018. Like this time in 2018 was when they started.
Oh, that's
doing
true.
leases.
They started 2018, but that wouldn't be a bad idea for the revenue stuff. But you've noticed, if you notice, I guess it depends on your area. But when I look at my Model 3 existing inventory, it's loaded. They have a ton of vehicles available for existing inventory. If you do custom order, it's like 8 to 12 weeks now. It like right before
on Tesla's website.
Yeah, right before this whole thing fell, we were talking on the podcast like, wow, guys, the Model 3 deliveries, they're finally back to 1 to 2 weeks. And then like once they announced the factories were closing, they immediately pushed it to 3 months. They were like, nope, never mind. But yeah, I was just opening the existing inventory on my
How much
iPad.
are they? Like, what are the cheap ones looking at? Like,
well, these are all
30,000
new.
still?
These aren't used.
Oh.
I'm just talking about vehicles they have available. The used section's always really, really small. But I did notice some Model S's. I don't know if we talked about this last week, but I did notice some used Model S's getting really, really cheap.
Okay.
Cheaper than
like the
Model
2012, 2013 ones.
3s. The one I was looking at was from 2014, and it was $28,000, which I thought was really low. I thought that was
Does
cool.
that have autopilot?
No, I don't think so.
2016 was autopilot, wasn't it?
I could be wrong.
Interesting.
There's like autopilot with convenience features, but
Yeah, they didn't have a very simplified lineup back then. They had like all the options.
they had
confusing.
like different numbers for each one. So the cheapest one is a 2014 Model S, which is $33,000, but that has a range of 265, which is not bad if you're just looking for electric. The 2015 Model S they have used for 36, 265 range, and it has autopilot hardware.
Wow.
So it won't get full self-driving, but it's like them Model S's, even from Tesla, are starting to get really, really down there. I don't recall ever, not too long ago, finding used Teslas for much under 30, but now they're getting there, little by little.
Interesting. Yeah. Be
I
fascinating
hope,
to see what they do here, because they're going to have to make some changes. and I think Elon said full speed ahead or whatever on Twitter, but like, yeah, they'll be full speed ahead in some aspects
with the factory down.
Yeah, they'll be smart about it, and you know.
Speaking of preparing for the worst, do you use Sentry mode ever, Randy?
Ooh.
I want to, and I don't.
And I think I know a reason why you probably shouldn't. Because in order to even view the footage that Sentry mode collects, you have to unplug the hard drive from the Tesla, plug it into a computer, and look at all the individual files. But have you seen the early access code? Oh my God.
It looks amazing.
Beautiful.
The dash cam viewer thing was 10 times better than what everyone was wanting. Like, oh my God. For the longest time, people were like, why can't I just watch the videos from the car? And people were just saying like basic file manager, you know, basically like just press it and see some video files and you can tap on them and scrub through them. What Tesla did was like this whole synchronized system of like rear and front. Like when I saw that video tweeted out, I was like, oh my God, that looks so clean, so fluid, and will actually make Sentry mode usable, because in its current state, oh my man, that'd be way too much work. If I just got an alert on the screen that's like 30 events occurred, I'd be like, look at the car. Yeah, it looks fine to me.
More or less, yeah, pretty much.
I wouldn't look at Sentry mode unless there was some like objective, you know, a window was broken or the car was keyed or something. But if you get like 3 events occurred and you can just pull them right up off the Tesla itself and even delete footage if it's not important, why didn't they launch that originally? It should have been like that from the beginning. I don't know why they didn't, but that looks like a great addition.
No, at that point, then I would be using it. I don't even have a hard drive to put in there. I have not put one in there.
Why can't they have their own hard drives? There must be some type of storage on the Tesla locally.
Yeah, they don't want to fill it up though with gigabytes of video though.
You could allocate a portion, like it won't fill it up, but it will fill up like a certain amount included. I feel like that would make sense.
Or add it to the premium connectivity and use a cloud of sorts.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people asking that, because there were a ton of people on Twitter and YouTube that were like, I want to be able to see the Sentry mode cameras live from my phone, or I want to just watch the videos from my phone. But yeah, it would pretty much only work if the Tesla was connected to Wi-Fi, because if you started letting people do that over cellular, it would it would use so much data, so much more than they're using right now. Like,
just
streaming video is one thing, but like live streaming in real time your cameras and beaming them up to a server is a totally different amount of data. So I can see why they wouldn't want to do that. Maybe they need premium connectivity plus pay $20 a month, have extra premium connectivity features, but
even more unlimited.
Even more unlimited, exactly.
That's it. The more
unlimited
plan or something.
An unlimited plus. But yeah, that whole Sentry mode redesign looks fantastic.
Yeah. I would use it. And I think they will. I believe that they will eventually move to something where you can check status on the car lifetime on your phone. It just it makes sense to do it. And I don't think that's where they'll draw the line at forward thinking, oh, we're not going to do that. I don't think that they might have the full infrastructure to do so right now and have it stable. But I do feel we will get that eventually. They should do it eventually. And it should be part of your services that you pay for. It's one more revenue stream that you can get, something that I would pay for the security portion of my car. I think that in its current state right now, it's more of a hassle, like you were saying, and it's not worth the. If something happens, if I notice, like, oh wait, okay, I have a dent, I have a scratch, something's broken, then okay, you're going to invest the time to do it, submit that footage to the insurance company, file your claim, do what you got to do, but otherwise, it's like I don't know. I remember when Nick showed up at my house, he got in front of my car thinking I had it, and he's trying to activate it to do its thing. He goes, it's not turned on. I don't know why. And so he's just doing this like, whoop, and he's just doing this thing. And it's more proof as to like exactly why I didn't want it, because it's like it'll do weird things like that. Anybody walks by and it sets it off. It's like I don't care for that. I don't care about that. Especially when you're home and the whole Wi-Fi thing, like you can maybe view it live on Wi-Fi. Everything else lets me do it on the my Amazon cameras. Do it. My Ring doorbell thing does it. So why not? Let me do it with the car so I can see even more in front. But I don't really care if somebody like Nick gets in front of my camera and then turns on the camera for it. It's not efficient right now.
Right.
But I can justify maybe even keeping it as it is if we moved it to a cloud-based type of connectivity for it. But
well, if it's a whole car, I feel like it wouldn't be that expensive to swap out whatever part of the computer they're putting in right now, because it has to have some storage. I mean, they put games on it, and they plan on adding more games in the future. So I'm sure they probably future-proofed the hard drives a little bit, to the point that even if it was something small, like, I don't know, 50 gigs that they just allocated just for Sentry Mode. Or, I mean, it's a computer. Let people, like, uninstall Cuphead if they don't want to play it, or uninstall certain games they don't like.
And you're always connected to LTE, so it's not like you can't download it.
Yeah,
you can download stuff if you need to. I know they want to minimize their data usage, but it's a connected car, so, why not? That would be like the last... So. Sure. That would be like the last change I would make to Sentry Mode, is just not even requiring the hard drive. The only tricky part would be like, how do you get the footage off the car?
So,
email your Tesla account. It goes to your Tesla account.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So we've been talking about like having Tesla do more monthly subscription stuff. What if Sentry Mode was a $30-$40 a month subscription per month that A, gave you access to that nice in-car viewer, B, uploaded and backed it all up, everything, to some kind of AWS cloud server somewhere, C, gave you a web portal that you could log into on your computer, download and view video, and D, in your Tesla app, allowed you to have a live feed of what your car is currently looking at. But, that's obviously would use more data, so they'd, you'd have to pay for that. But I think that would be an interesting subscription. Like, I'm not sure if I would do it, but it would be fascinating at least to see what that option looked like.
Maybe some people, if they parked in places that weren't secure that regularly.
Yeah. At most, maybe, like everything that you said, Nick, that whole painting the picture, at most 25, and even then I don't think I would do it, but maybe at most 25.
So maybe it just wouldn't work over LTE. Maybe the live streaming would still work over LTE, but the data backup and stuff would have to be connected to Wi-Fi.
Well, what I would do in that sense is that if over LTE I could just connect to it live time and see it. If I want to record something, I'll just screen record my phone or something. Yeah, do it that way.
There you go. Yeah, I just don't know what the data costs are. That's really how we don't know what the service
are they on
cost.
AT&T or T-Mobile?
AT&T.
AT&T.
AT&T. Yeah. If they were on like maybe T-Mobile or Sprint, maybe they could have negotiated some stuff, but I don't know.
I think they do have, like, even with premium connectivity, they do have a limit. If someone goes like insanely high, they will eventually turn it off. You ought to try that sometime, Randy. Just on the next big road trip you take, just stream Netflix as much as possible. Just leave it running. And see if there's a limit cap or something you can
in 4K.
I mean, it's pretty laggy right now as is. So much so that I can't tell you the last time I went on YouTube with it or something.
You're not a great advocate for buying a Tesla, Randy. Well, every time we talk about it, you're like, I don't like that. I don't use that.
Because there's a lot of latency. It's very laggy. It's very buggy. I'll test it, and I'll test it multiple times, and I do test it. There's been no improvements. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if you own a Tesla, then you're already paying for it. Have at it. But Currently, as it is, it's not ready. It's still. I care about efficiency more than anything, and I want a stable. The one thing that just irritates me is it won't even go to like 480, and it will just like let's say I'm watching a any YouTube, doesn't matter. If I'm watching it, I'm hearing talking, and the video is just like, and that's why YouTube, and then it just kind of does its thing, it catches up, or worse, everything freezes, and you just get that loading thing, and it's just like, and I'm on an AT&T carrier, and in a city, I should not have these types of issues, and it's acting like I'm out in the boonies on Sprint. And it's just doing that, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's
when you're saying flawless. It's not ready or it's not being improved. Are you referring to cellular connectivity, or are you referring to theater mode in general?
I don't know. I think it's theater mode.
Probably deprioritized. Like AT&T is probably heavily deprioritizing any kind of Tesla, Netflix.
Because but the thing is, like, even when I do web browsing, it's slow. Everything is slow, and I'm just trying to load a page. It gives you full internet, exactly how you would do it, like on iPad or a computer or whatever, but or in your phone.
Computer.
And it's just like I find it quicker to just go on my phone and do something. I want to pay something on Tesla. I can either do it within the app very quickly, or I just go onto my account right there, and it happens quick. So my time is valuable to me in the sense that, like, I don't want to sit there and just be like, and I wait, and I wait, and I wait, and I wait, and it feels like I'm using a Windows Touch tablet or a Chromebook or a Pixel book or whatever, and it's just like jittery and it doesn't want to do it, and it's just the whole thing. I feel like it's the UI. I don't think it's maybe it is the connect. Maybe the whole thing's deprioritized, but a regular website, no media streaming. I just try to load something, and it just craps out. The same way when you're with me, we're trying to load that app with the piano, and it was doing that.
Oh, my
picture
gosh,
that for everything. If it's not map or driving, if it has anything to do with web browsing, no. It's what you got with the app, and it's buggy and it's laggy, and every time I get an update and it says, oh, bugs and patches for this, I have a rotation that I go through, and I start cycling through and I test it. No, as of right now, it's getting better. It's not, in my opinion, usable when we're so used to, for us, when I'm talking about us, we're used to our iPads and our phones that have a quicker response to it.
To be fair, you can't get any car that comes close to Tesla ever.
But also, to be fair, two things to be fair. One, we all have smartphones that are just as quick, snappy, and just do it. And to be fair for me, I paid for it. I paid a premium. I don't like the UI. I hate it. I always talk about how I want CarPlay to be a thing, or a CarPlay equivalent. Just of snappiness. What I like about CarPlay was it's very snappy, and I think what I miss about CarPlay is how snappy it is. And if it doesn't have anything to do with full self-driving or loading things on my map, it doesn't. It feels like Tesla doesn't prioritize the interface on the computer, and it kind of irritates me. But I always justify beta. I'm an early adopter. This is expected, and I think it's true. And I think all these things, I don't bring it up often because it's like, I'm early to the game, and this is the price you pay for it. And
you should bring it up, though. People should know.
I think people who buy the car, that's not their priority. I love talking about the full self-driving and what's changing on that, because that's what people are paying for. Premium connectivity, 100% could be better. So I think I'll make a point to bring it up and let.
So are you going to sell the car?
Know. No.
It's so terrible.
No.
It's just so
bad.
You should just give it to me, Randy. You don't need it. No, because
full self-driving, like the price I pay for a bad UI is that I got full self-driving at a beautiful discount. And
the more time goes on, the more of a discount you got.
Yeah. And my tax incentives are still the same. So it's like for buying it when I did with the rebates and stuff like that, it's I still walked away very much ahead, and I am a happy customer. I would still say 10 out of 10 recommend. Don't buy the car if you want to go browse the internet. Use your phone, use your iPad, do something else to do that.
Don't buy a car to browse the internet. That's
even
the
though it is
takeaway.
Technically cheaper than a Mac Pro.
A little bit.
That is true.
A maxed out Mac Pro. Yeah.
True, of course. But not even, actually. You wouldn't even have to max it out to get cheaper than a Mac Pro. But either way. Would you say experience as a whole, was it a disappointment? Or has the Model 3 exceeded expectations?
Overall Model 3?
Yeah.
Exceeded. I was just telling my wife and some people who came over the other day, we went to go somewhere really quickly, and I was like, hang on, I'll move my car. Before we even started the thing, I was just moving my car forward so my wife can use the carport, and I go, I freaking love this car. Like, it's so beautiful. It's elegant. It's clean. What you can do literally at the fingertips of your phone is just... I'm dumbfounded. I don't get tired of people walking by and going, ooh, and then they see me do the smart summon, and they're like,
yeah,
nobody's in the car. And there's so many pros to it that the sound bar, the sound system in the car, I'm so glad I got the long range that came with the better sound system, because I can now, as a musician, I can now test some of my songs before I release them in the car. How does this sound? And it sounds way better than I would have tried it on, speakers on the side, door panels. No, the whole thing up front. I love it. I love the LED lights. I love the mass windows and glass everywhere. Even though I got like the beam that's above my head, doesn't bother me that it's right there, because I blank it out the same way you blank out a notch on a phone. It's just whatever. You see past it. I love that I can heat up my car or cool it down before I get in it. I love that I can control from my phone whose seat warmers are going to get warmed and who's not, to what level. There's so much little things that overall paint the best picture of it, that I was telling my wife, this is the final car. This is, until everyone else can give me a reason to walk away, I don't need it. I am the happiest I've ever been using a car, and I've never thought I'd feel that with a car. But when you get in it, it is truly an experience. The dual motor that makes me go, it just shoots me, never gets tired. I always giggle. I'm in control of the whole thing. And then you got full self-driving, autopilot. Then you have just everything. Remember loads their little profiles on my car? Like, oh, okay, wife's driving. Loads her profile. A frequent friend, I give him a profile. Loads it. And it's just nuances that just like, oh, look at this little thing. Cool. Okay. And then updates. The car has gotten smoother by driving. The interface has gotten better since I picked it up 9 months ago. Everything about it is just getting better. I haven't experienced anything that goes, this has gotten worse. Not a single thing. The only thing was like what we talked last week. I wish I had a powered trunk. I'm nitpicking at this point. It's nothing.
Well, the premium connectivity thing sounds like so many other things you enjoy about the car are there, but you know what it's like to browse the web or interact with a computer on your iPad and phone, and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's why it's frustrating. Because it's not coming out of the tunnel when it comes to just the lagginess of it, because most cars don't have things like the web browser or the theater mode, so you don't expect it to be good at those things. So you're just in the car and you're just, all right, it works, I'm driving. But with that, you can see greatness. You're like, oh, it's so close to being good, but it isn't.
Even right now, today, it's still a good party trick today to show. Fireplace. Oh, look at this. Wow, wow, wow. And you just turn on and you start doing your thing. Like, there's so much little things that's cool party tricks, and then the whole thing's just one big toy. And you're right. I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm just like, get there already, because it is completely capable. But I'm extremely patient because I think I would consider myself, especially with the model, like I am an early adopter to it, and it's new territory for me, because Whether we talked about it on this show or the tech ones, I'm not really an early adopter to many things. I like to let it mature for a second, so that way I can have a good customer user experience. And but this one is like, I'm too sold on the future, and every time I get in it, and not a single person's got in my car and be like, it's all right. People who don't like cars, they're just like, no, I get it. They're just like, I get it. Can't afford it.
I think that's actually more specific, though. It's people that don't like cars that like it, because I've interacted with people on Twitter that are very vocal about, I got in one and I didn't think it was that cool. I would always take the Mustang, blah blah blah, blah any day of the week. And it's like, okay, it's almost like Tesla made the anti-car. That's kind of what they've created. Is they've made a vehicle for everybody else who doesn't like vehicles. That's and if you're a huge car enthusiast, I mean, I'm not saying no car enthusiasts enjoy Teslas, but a lot of people that are following vehicles for a long time and very comfortable with traditional cars or things, companies. It's kind of, I know this is Talos of EV, but it's similar to like the Apple Watch entering the watch market. You know, it became the #1 watch by popularity, and just most people go with an Apple Watch now out of all these different brands to choose from. And you will still see lots of people bring up how an Apple Watch just does not have the style or the character or the look of my watch collection, or this really, really well-known watch brand, or this brand, or this brand. And it's all subjective. It's all personal preference. But the reason one became popular is because it appealed to the most common denominator. It appealed to the masses. It wasn't trying to appeal to an enthusiast market. It wasn't trying to appeal to people who just like to stare at their watch because of how much fine art craftsmanship went into it, and the grooves and the design, and just so much thought and care was put. We were like, no, I want a touchscreen. I want to read the text on, and that's kind of how I feel the Tesla's coming at it. It's like, is it the most like beautifully intricate, fine arted interior we've ever seen? No, it's an interior, and we put the biggest display we could there because displays are dynamic and they can change, and we can provide updates in time. And the most common denominator of driver gets in one of those and goes, whoa, that's cool. I like this. Let me play with it, because humans love displays. You know, we just love putting pixels on things. We love looking at them and
like
to play with.
It's like Tesla has like fart mode and Mars mode and a little
Have you seen a baby use a
creation.
phone or an iPad?
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, like
it's intuitive.
It just clicks. There's something to be said about that, because I mean, we didn't have iPhones or iPads when I was that young, but the fact
back in my day, we were all excited about the iPhone.
But
3G.
like seeing my niece or something use a phone, and just how their eyes get wide and they get glued to it. Or I'd be at like the dinner table talking with family and stuff, and then she would walk up to me and see my watch, and she would instantly just start tapping it and swiping through things. You know, like there's something so fluid and so personal about it that it's just a natural interaction.
I think there's a lot more of a parallel with, and I think why we like Tesla, because I see a lot of parallel with that in Apple, in the sense that also, because I would make another comparison that Apple, people hate Apple, which is funny because Apple makes something that people can hate as well, because it's like, oh, it's not customizable, you can't open it up, you blah 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 blah. The same way with Tesla, it's not a real car, you can't do that, and you get these enthusiasts who want to be able to do the Mustang equivalent. I want to get under the hood, I want to do this, I want to drive a manual transmission.
Or they look at the interior as more as like a portrait. It needs to be like a painting.
Exactly.
And there's different company styles to it, whereas Tesla appeals to so many people, I think, because they're just like, so you want an iPad, right? They're like, boom, we'll just put a display. Boom, that's all you need. And that's why so many people like that, even though a lot of people think it's boring and stale. It's like, I don't need a bunch of dials and numbers and things. I want the bare essentials and no nonsense. Like, that's it. And then the display can get better with time. So while it may, at first glance, may look like the most bland or boring of interiors, it's also the most adaptable and updatable. Like, it's the most versatile interior because of how much you can change. Whereas in a traditional luxury cars, it's like, nope, that speedometer, that's there. You know, like the AC vents, those aren't moving. And I mean, like, the Tesla's not changing there, but I just mean like the controls, you know, for updates things or what the interior can do. It's pretty much locked in.
So flexible.
Yeah. I
Maybe?
personally, it's a personal thing, but I actually really like the look of devices when the display is off, when it's just kind of this black glass,
Yeah.
slightly reflected, a black mirror, if you will. And that's something I noticed I liked when I was looking at I was editing a video and looking at the Model 3 interior, is that I thought it looked really, really beautiful when the display was off. And you just had this super, super simple interior and then just this black mirror centered right in the middle. And that's why I actually wouldn't want it to be pivoted. I've been in the Model 3 before, and some people say they want it to adjust. Tech Forum sells a screen mount kit for those who want to adjust their Model 3 and pivot it more or angle it more towards the driver. But I like just the fact that it's symmetrical, down the middle and everything. I prefer that look. Do you like the way the screen is mounted, or would you rather it be moved?
No, I like the aesthetics of how it is right now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. No,
It'd be
I
cool
understand.
Cybertruck.
Huh?
Yeah, same with Cybertruck.
I think the idea, I get why they say that, but for me, and maybe it's selfishly, but I feel like, oh, that's hogging the screen, and I got people in the car who are all watching the brain go to work every time they're in my car. And I don't want to take that experience away from them. And I'm not glued to the screen like this when I'm driving. And if I'm parked, even then, it's no different than literally anything else. My computer, my iPad, my phone. The phone is the only thing that's like, oh, that's a very personal thing. It's right here, or you're like this, and you're doing your thing, and then that's about it. But honestly, where it's at right now makes the most sense to me. I don't want it on me because it also kind of feels like it might, even if it's slight a little bit, it's like, give me as much open room as possible. The idea that the Model 3 is so minimal and you have all this space to do all these things. And
your eyes are on the road, not the screen.
Eyes are on the road. I don't... Having it lean at me throws off the symmetry, in my opinion. I like how everything is symmetrical. I like the aesthetics. It's uniform. It's clean. And, I don't... It's nothing that's an issue for me. The only thing that needs to be pointed to me are my mirrors. That's the only thing.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I think we can wrap up now unless you guys have closing thoughts.
Been good.
Nope.
You remind me why I want a Tesla, Randy. Appreciate that.
Well, you were going off on that spiel about how bad it was, and I was like, does Randy not like it? Do you regret buying this?
I was going
and then he
off
went
just-
on the 40-minute speech about the
I know you saw my face light up. My face light up when I was talking about all the things.
He still doesn't regret it. Just making
No.
sure.
No. I just want them to. I know it's not a priority for them. I just wish they would come around to cleaning up the UI a bit for web browsing, whatever the case is, theater mode. I would enjoy it. I will say, just so I don't look like the whole thing's bad. There have been times when I'm charging my car at a non-supercharger, so I have like an hour or two to kill. As I'm charging it up, and I will jump on like Netflix or something, and it does work. It's just I'm so used to fluidity with iOS, and this is where for me
you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I see the light, and I know me being heavily in the Apple ecosystem, how clean and smooth everything snaps is why it's like I don't really like Windows that much. I don't like Android for the same reason. They're getting better. And so we see all the others get better. I wish Tesla would kind of put a focus on that, but I know it's not a priority for them, so that's why.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
All right.
I accept it.
Okay, everyone. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye. Ba-ba-ba.